It's Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Corey and Mason.
Hello and welcome to Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Mason Schmidt, here with my best bud, Corey Knudsen.
Wolves back, Twins back.
Wolves 1 and
Frost
5.
back.
Wolves 1 and 5, and I feel like it's always Wolves and 5, and damn it, they did it. And
Twins got 13 straight.
Are they up that high?
Yeah, they've got 3 straight shutouts.
That's
13
crazy.
straight wins. I'd prefer this happen at the end of the season, but
yeah, it's a little early.
It's still Minnesota sports. We're good. Not the Wild, but we're.
Yeah, well, first round bounce in the playoffs. That's typical of the Wild, and
happens.
Also every other Minnesota team. So that's completely fine. But thanks for sitting down with us as we get ready to crack some cold ones, which we already have started on, as well as talking about movies. Today we'll be discussing what films we've seen lately and what new releases are on the horizon. We'll also provide some updates on some physical media releases and the latest notable developments in the world of movies. But Corey, first, how have you been? And second, what will we kind of be drinking today? We kind of have a smorgasbord in front of us.
Oh, we got a brand new setup. We've changed locations. We got cameras. We got things going on here. We're trying some video stuff.
This is a massive trial run.
Yeah, we wanted to do this for a while, so this has been fun. So if you're watching on YouTube or whatever, you can finally see us.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's good or bad, but
no, it's probably not
whatever. But no, I've been good. This morning, I had something happen to me for the first time that I've never seen before. I was watching YouTube, watching just some movie reviews, whatever.
I don't like it when you unannounced bring shit up like this.
I like
on
to
the
do
fly.
things that I don't tell you about before. I was watching some reviews for movies, and I got an ad. I got an ad for napkins. Never seen a napkins commercial in my life. I've seen paper towels. I've seen.
Is this your stand-up bit?
I've seen.
You're gonna fucking
maybe.
die on the hill of napkins.
Tell me the last napkin ad that you seen.
I don't know, but it's also not funny. I don't care.
Oh wow, okay.
Sorry. I mean, Bounty, they're adjacent. I don't know. Why are we talking about fucking napkins?
I don't know. I was just saying, there's some companies that you just don't think advertise shit, like Barks Root Beer.
Because people are just gonna buy it regardless.
Anyways, I guess you don't care. That's fine. That's cool.
I mean, that's just a weird hill to die on. Let's talk about fucking napkins right now.
I've just never seen a napkins ad, and I was just thrown off.
What was the name of the brand?
I think it was the Vanity Fair napkins or something.
Is that a thing?
I think so.
The fucking
I was just thrown off by the napkins, and I was like, oh fuck.
A napkins ad.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Anyways, so all right, I'll move on from this.
What are we drinking today? We have a list.
Yeah. Well, we got some Modelo. We crushed some Busch Light in the fish cans. We got some of these Pull Tabs Pale Ale from Black Stack Brewing, which I'm gonna pour out into our steins here.
Yeah.
We only have one.
We only have one.
My brother
didn't
gave this to me.
prep a whole lot this week in terms of buying the beer.
Yeah.
It's a lot of just clearing out the fridge.
So yeah, this is Black Stack Brewing out of North St. Paul. I've never been there. Have you been there?
I've been to Black Stack,
Okay.
but I don't think I've had the pull tabs. I had whatever their kind of lager on tap is, and it was really good. They also typically have a food truck out front that does really good smash burgers, so we went there predominantly for that, and then we were able to just all right, sit around, have beer, and it was a good time. But yeah, I've never sat down and sampled a lot of their stuff. So
yeah,
cheers to you on us figuring out recording and video. Also, our production team, mostly just one guy named Dylan, who is awesome with sound and audio and visuals and trying to help us figure this shit out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's good stuff. So yeah, we got big Star Wars week.
Oh yeah.
We had
big Star Wars.
Andor Season 2 wrapped up. Mm-hmm. We've done reviews for every, each batch of episodes. This is the final batch, episodes 10 through 12. Not only the season finale, but the series finale. Mm-hmm. And man, what a good last 6 episodes to close out the show.
Oh yeah.
We really got episode 10. We had the spoiler alert, I guess.
We're going to talk in depth a little bit about kind of, which we all know where it's leading. It's leading to Rogue One, which then inevitably leads to Cassian Andor's death. So it's everything's already kind of spoiled. But yeah, to talk a little bit more about the exact details of episodes 10 through 12, just be where we're going to.
Yeah. So yeah, we had episode 10. It was the Luthen and Clea episode.
Yep.
Where Luthen he gets found by Dedra, and that's a great scene, just in the his art dealership where they both know what they're there, but they're still putting on the performance for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you got Clea coming in to the hospital, such a great scene of her just trying to infiltrate there. And I thought his death was handled really well. Mm-hmm. I love from his monologue in season 1, you're this dude's gonna die for the rebellion. Mm-hmm. And you see that happen.
He doesn't make it into Rogue One, so it's a lot of figuring all right, he's going to likely die in this latter half of the season, but how they handle it was going to be a big deal for me.
Yeah. I think it was like Clay as a character that has kind of been in the background doing a lot of stuff, but we haven't really gotten to know her well. But we get flashbacks with her and Luthen.
Yeah.
Seeing, I don't know if it was like the Clone Wars, the flashback, or like what time period it was really, but some war that they were in. And it was just great to see their connection, him like raising her as a young girl and just teaching her the like brutality of what you have to do as part of a rebellion. I really liked seeing
that awesome scene when they're sitting basically like having lunch on like this patio and they can oversee this bridge where there's a lot, I'm guessing it's like Imperial or Stormtroopers or whatever, they're soldiers over there, and they're like, Luthen talking to Clea like, hey, are you ready for this? Are you sure you're ready for this? Like, we're straight up just gonna kill people, we're gonna detonate bombs. And she's like, yeah, I am. And then he's like, all right, well, look at me. And then they trigger it. He's like, no, look at me. You can't look over there. You gotta look at me. And he's like, all right, now it's time to go. And it's just having to see, which I don't know the name of the child actor who played Clea, but great job. Just being able to go toe-to-toe with Stellan Skarsgård and just sit there and like, like, he says anything in this show and I'm like, holy shit. I don't understand how someone can sit across from him regardless of your age and be like, wow, you're not like one of the best actors in the world. This is crazy. So I think the handling of Luthen's character, and also they really did a lot to kind of develop further the relationship between Luthen and Clea. His death was handled so well, and the main arc of episode 10 of Clea, like, this is what Luthen would want. He's been captured by Dedra and the Imperials, so he's like, I need to get in there and kill him. I need to make sure that he doesn't make it to tomorrow, that they can't question him, that they can't get information out of him. That's what he would have wanted, and that kind of insurrection, or Clea trying to sneak in and get to Luthen and getting everyone out of the room, clearing out, and it was just such a good, like, a heist where you're getting into something. You're just trying to infiltrate and go behind the scenes of everything. And this episode did a lot for further making me like Clea more, which I never disliked her. It's just like, oh, now I see why you're such an integral part to this story and why you've been kind of like the one person Luthen's willing to have someone talk back at him to. They kind of have friction, and it's like, you don't really see a lot of like Luthen running into friction unless it's like, oh, him and Mon Mothma kind of, but to see someone go to toe-to-toe with Luthen's character. Episode 10 was great. Honestly, the episodes 10 through 12, we already talked about episodes 7 through 9, but this latter half of the season, I completely get what all the first reactions were saying of like, damn, this is the best Star Wars we've ever seen. This is some of the best writing in Star Wars. Whereas like the first half of the season, it like trim that down to maybe 3 episodes potentially. There's just some subplots that I don't care about too much. Overall, this season I do think is a success, but this last 6-episode arc I think is the best written, best shot Star Wars ever. Like, more so than Empire. Empire is in my top 10 favorite films of all time. I think that this is the best Star Wars. This last 6 episodes of Andor is the best Star Wars that's ever been put out.
Yeah, I would say that about episodes 8 and 9, which we touched on last week. I think these last 3 were really solid, really good. And it really was just like, all right, how are we getting into Rogue One now? Like, where are these pieces falling? Like, who's going to be where? And something I like that they did is that they didn't feel the need to kill off everybody that wasn't in Rogue One. Yeah. So, like, we see Clea and Vel, I think her name is, but, like, they're not in Rogue One or A New Hope, obviously, but they're just on Yavin 4, and they're still there. And you're like, okay, they were just there during all these events in the later movies. So it was just putting those pieces together, getting Clea out of the apartment was a really good scene too, of just the Imperials coming in, and then you just see like where Cassian is going at the beginning of Rogue One. He's meeting up with the Saw Gerrera's contact there. Yeah,
Tivik.
Yeah, with Tivik.
That and in these last couple episodes, we get to see a little bit more of the beginning, the development of his relationship with K2SO, and K2SO just absolutely murdering fools, just boom, 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 like
just a unit.
Yeah, and Alan Tudyk, his voice acting, his acting all across the board, I love him. He's so likable, and him as K2SO is so funny. It's kind of like the don't tell me the odds, but he's gonna fucking tell you the odds. Mm-hmm. He's like, just shut up. He's like, well, 18%, like, or we broke 17 laws or stuff like that. So K2SO and also being able to see those droids operated in episode 7 through 9, where they're like, oh, they're part of the Empire, but also they are just murder bots. Like, they go out and just sling fools. They will beat the shit out of people. So I liked what this show has done in terms of really like backfilling and giving us more depth to a lot of things that I didn't necessarily think I needed, but now that I have it, I love it. So I'm thrilled to have it. And typically Star Wars, you hear, oh, we're doing prequels. I'm not a big prequel person. I don't want to go backwards. I want to just like move the story forward. And that was basically my idea going into Andor. I'm like, I don't know if I need this show. I don't know if I need to know more about Cassian Andor. Who gives a fuck? He dies in Rogue One, and I liked him in Rogue One. I like all the characters in Rogue One, but I don't need more. And now I'm like, all right, this, like I said, this 6-episode chunk, and pairing that with Rogue One, I'm like, this is the best time, I think. This like distinct set of time where the Death Star is being developed, and the rebels are trying to stop it and trying to find a fracture point within the Death Star that they can kind of exploit. I loved it. The one thing that I was kind of hoping for within these last couple of episodes that I don't necessarily think I needed, but I again, more of a selfish want, was the inclusion of Urso, Galen Urso. I thought, like, we got a name drop. We never really got to see him. I'm like, I would love to see Galen Urso so badly.
I was kind of happy that we didn't see him.
Okay.
And I was worried that that's what this last 3 episodes was going to be, is like, maybe we'll see Jin or Galen. Or
I'm happy we didn't see Jin.
Yeah, it was like, is Vader going to show up? Like, that's something they could have done, and I'm really glad they didn't. Because then, even like, I rewatched Rogue One right after these 3 episodes came out, which was just such a tough rewatch. Like, not like tough and about it, like, tough, like, that was crazy. But just seeing, like, even when Cassian goes on to Catherine, that planet he's going to, and the guy says Galen Urso, he's like, Galen Urso? Like, oh shit, like, okay, this is like 2 different people saying this now. So it just adds into like that. I also love the final shot of this show. We talked last week, we're like, we don't need to see Bix back. Like, that was like a perfect ending for her, just leaving and being like, you need to do this and I can't be around because I'm going to stop you from, being this messenger for the rebellion. But we see that Cassian has a kid.
Yeah.
And it's really just like a beautiful scene. Like, she's just looking out, kind of the classic, like, Star Wars character looking out almost, on the horizon or whatever. But it's a really, like, plays into the theme of the show of, like, being a cog in this machine and not being able to see the fruits of your labor, like Luthen's monologue. It's just a really, like, beautiful moment, and they're just on that planet from the beginning of the season, and I thought it was just such a great way to add in so much emotion for Cassian's character in Rogue One, especially. You see him now, and he just has lines, and there's a line that Donnie Yen says to him in the movie, and Cassian's like, I've never been in a prison before. And Donnie Yen's like, I think that you carry your prison everywhere you go. That line just brings on a whole new meaning after seeing these 2 seasons. And, I love Rogue One, and it's a movie that I've liked more and more as time has gone on. I still have issues, like, with almost every other character and just, like, not getting to know them as well. Even Jin, I think she's fine.
Yeah.
But Cassian, I think, is great. But it's just such a, like, it fits in so well just between A New Hope and Andor now. I still think that the CGI on Tarkin looks awful. Rewatching it, I was like, this looks like a video game, and this is dog shit.
I haven't rewatched it in a while. I was actually kind of waiting to wrap up with Andor to go back to Rogue One and the original Star Wars to kind of get that first part of this chapter, of the story of Luke Skywalker and all that in the rebellion. I remember in the theaters, I was like, I can get past it. I'm fine with it. And I've seen it again since then. I'm like, it still works for me. It's noticeable, but it works for me. I've kind of been on like the opposite side of people that are like, it looks like shit, but also I'm like, I am gearing myself up for a rewatch, and I'm really anxious to see how it holds up now going into this
looks
rewatch.
Like clay. It just looks weird.
I think that they did a good job of at least trying to hide it in dimly lit scenarios. They're not like putting this character on full blast in a very bright white room that's kind of synonymous with like New Hope era Star Wars. So again, jury's still to be out. I've always thought it worked enough for me to where I'm able to look past the visual effects. Honestly, part of me is like, why don't you just, like, the small little performance by the actor at the end of Revenge of the Sith that's just, like, up on the sky deck with Darth Vader, and I'm like, maybe just bring him in? I don't know. I don't need the actor or the person that's reprising this character. Like, we have a new person in this one playing Organa, Bail Organa. It's not...
Hey, he was really good.
Yeah, and honestly, I prefer him. But it's not like a one-to-one. They don't look the exact same, and I don't think that the recast are honestly trying to rely on some sort of visual or digital recreation of a deceased person's face was necessary. I think it works enough, but also I'm like, you probably could have found a workaround.
I think if
We've
a
done
person dies, you can probably just like not bring them back.
Yeah, and just
that's fine.
Well, and I always wish that they would have done that with Leia in Rise of the Skywalker, and just like, you know what, just cast someone that was a friend of hers. Like Meryl Streep was a good friend of Carrie Fisher. Have her play Leia for half a movie. We'd just be on board, and then just at the end dedicated to our princess.
Yeah,
Princess Leia.
And I was like fine
Carrie
with that
Fisher.
a little bit because it was like deleted scenes that they did. So I'm like, okay, it's still her, like stuff that she filmed. But yeah, man, this was Andor, just such a surprising thing. Like you mentioned it, just of how I think everybody was like, we don't really care.
Cassian Andor, like
But
one of the Rogue One people that we saw die.
He was always like the most interesting one from Rogue One. Even watching that movie, I'm like, I would like to know, what do you mean I was in this fight since I was 6 years old?
6 years
Like,
old.
what does that mean? What does that look like? Like you said, this is such a fun like time period in Star Wars too that I just like seeing more of. Leads so well into Rogue One. Honestly, like Andor season 1, season 2, and then Rogue One is such a great Star Wars trilogy, which is weird because we have like prequels, sequels, originals, and now we kind of have this one too.
Yeah.
So it's great. It helps Rogue One in the same way that the Clone Wars animated show helped the prequels. And, you know, maybe we'll get something like that for the sequels, too, for people that don't love those movies. Maybe we'll get a show that kind of helps out that a little bit. So very, you know, good to have good Star Wars back. I feel like it's been a little bit with all the shows.
Kathleen Kennedy, I know you're probably not going to be the head of Lucasfilm past this year, but whatever money you have, back a Brinks truck
There you go, get to it.
to Tony Gilroy's house and get him to write more Star Wars, because he clearly knows how to handle a well-written, well-developed world, and just making something that's relatable and ripe with good conflict and good drama, and has the Star Wars galaxy as a backdrop. It's not so integral. Like, I've seen him go on like the press market and like just in interviews, just this isn't supposed to be the best Star Wars show. This is supposed to be a good show within the world of Star Wars. Anyone that's not a Star Wars fan, this is supposed to be an entry point to try and sway you to like, yeah, this is a great show. It just happens to be within Star Wars, not it's a great Star Wars show, which Andor is a great Star Wars show. It's also an amazing show if it took place at any other time. It's something like you can kind of set this anywhere. You can set it during World War II and a lot of this stuff would still apply and still really work. So Tony Gilroy, please stick around. Kathleen Kennedy, that is the last thing that you need to do before you're out of Lucasfilm, is make sure Tony Gilroy is sticking around to make more Star Wars, because he's proven to be one of the better ones at it currently. Yeah,
hoping this show gets a lot of Emmy nominations like the first season did, because it absolutely deserves it. Moving into the new movies that we saw this week. Final Destination Bloodlines came out, and I had never seen any of the movies before, like I mentioned last week, so I sat down, watched all 5 of them, and it was just a lot of the same.
A lot of death. A lot of fucked up death, yeah.
But I really liked them. I actually had a really good time watching these movies. It was just crazy, like back to back to back to back. I was like, whoa, it's kind of a lot to get through right now.
That one, the story is more often than not just kind of copy and paste. Like, big event, it gets avoided. All these high schoolers or college age kids that are like, oh, what the fuck's going on? Now they all need to die.
Yeah. So I didn't dislike any of these movies. The first one is obviously very iconic. The plane crash kind of sets everything in motion for the franchise. And I think the cast of the first movie is the best ensemble of any of the movies, I would say. You just have a lot of good names in there. Ali Larter, Devon Sawa, Sean William Scott has a fun death in there.
Yep.
And it just introduces this kind of two interesting concepts of cheating death and then death trying to get back at you, but also having the chain reaction Rube Goldberg type deaths that I think the first couple movies did really well, and set up these little moments of 8 different things in a room, and 4 of them matter, but the other things are that could kill him, that could do it. So it was fun just seeing that initial movie. The second movie I actually like a little bit better. I think the logging scene is iconic as shit.
Yeah, that has become synonymous with the franchise, is that truck logging scene, and everyone just getting logged to the front of their car, through their head, out the back of the car.
It's awesome. And I've never, I said, I hadn't seen the movies before this week, but I've known of that. Yeah. You just everyone kind of knows that. And the reason I like the second movie a lot is they actually beat death at the end of it. That's the only movie where it happens in the franchise. And again, I think the ensemble's pretty good there, and there's some fun deaths. But I just love that ending of being oh, we actually did it. We figured out how to do this. The third one, I think, has the best lead with Mary Elizabeth Winstead in there.
Yep.
There's not a ton of, like, through-line characters, kind of like a Sidney Prescott in the Scream franchise or anything. So I think
Tony Todd honestly is the one through line of this franchise.
For real. Ali Larter kind of is, but then she gets blown up in the second one. So I was like, oh, you're not coming back.
You're not here for long, yeah.
Cool. Also, her name is Clear? Not Claire. Clear. It took me, like, till the second movie, and then they're like, yeah, Clear is coming over. I'm like, oh, it's not Claire? I don't know. It's weird.
Not a great name.
Yeah. But yeah, I really like the third one. The amusement park, I think, is a fun setting.
Made me deathly afraid of, like, Valley Fair here in Minnesota.
Oh, for sure. You see, like, a little screw, like, coming loose. You're like, eh.
It's like, I'm already not great with roller coasters, and now to see that happen and play out on screen, I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, that's not happening for me.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed the first three, and then the fourth one, which is called The Final Destination. I hate that shit.
Don't do that.
Just call it 4. I'm glad that 5 is just called Final Destination 5. I enjoyed 4 and 5 enough. I know a lot of people really love 5. I think the ending is really cool, of tying back into the first movie with the plane crash. I think the rest of the movie, along with 4, they were like, oh, this is 3D time, because it was like 2009 and 2011.
Yeah.
And they're like, what can we throw at the screen? What, like, stakes going through people can we have? And it felt like that was a bit more of the focus than having clever deaths and those kind of, like, chain reaction things, like I mentioned. It was kind of just like, all right, let's just be gory and lose some of that cleverness from before. But they're still, like, pretty fun watches, though. And I like 5 more than 4. But yeah, then we saw Bloodlines together yesterday.
Yeah.
And we had a fucking great time.
Great time. Going into it, it had a 92% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes, had a 90% audience rating. I'm like, okay, fucking chill out. Like, it's gonna be a Final Destination movie, and it is. It follows the same kind of rough structure of a big event happens, there's a survivor, but as opposed to it being, oh, these people that are involved in the event that happened, like, kind of currently, it's an event that happened a long time ago, and the one survivor has now lived on and had a life and has descendants and has kids, and their kids have kids now. So it's like, all right, now we're gonna address, all right, you've lived past what death had timed out for you. You've surpassed what you were supposed to do. And not only that, you've brought more people into this world that aren't technically supposed to be here because you have overstayed your welcome. So therefore, they're also overstaying their welcome. So I think that this movie kind of takes a new lens to the franchise of, all right, this horrible, horrific event happens in, I think, like, they don't really strictly define it, but I think it was 60s? Like the 50s or 60s on this, like, basically Seattle Space Needle, but it's a restaurant and shit hits the fan. And the visual effects throughout the movie is, like, pretty good, like, pretty consistent. Yeah. It's not stellar, but that scene, that is one of the best, like, shit hitting the fan scenes throughout the franchise of, like, oh my fucking god, I do not want to be up there.
Piano is doing some crazy work.
Yeah, Piano is just breaking through a person before breaking through the glass, and you see all of it. This was a really, like, gory film, which I really appreciated, because I think the first couple of Final Destination movies, they're still trying to, like, kind of best figure out the tone. The first one is very serious. And some of the deaths are kind of traumatic. Like the time that one of the characters, I don't remember the character's name, gets, like, basically hung in the shower. And I'm like, oh. Yeah. And their eyes just wash over red, and you're like, fuck. Oh my god, I'm not even, like, enjoying this anymore. This is just sad. Whereas this, I'm like, they're a little bit more tongue-in-cheek. They're aware of the tone, and I think maybe it's because of the 14-year age gap between this movie and Final Destination 5, where they're like, you know what, let's go back to it. We have a good story. We kind of have a better idea as to, like, how people are going to enter into this franchise, especially if they've never seen it before. But with this movie, you get, like I said, pretty consistent visual effects, but a good spin on the story of, all right, what if this family that's not supposed to be here, now they're the ones that are getting taken out? And I really was pleasantly surprised by the entirety of this movie. I was going in ready and almost waiting to hate it. Like, all right, you're going to have to prove yourself to me. I'm waiting to have something that I can nitpick or be like, no, it's not that good, because all of the hype going into it, and then watching, I'm like, oh, I'm fucking loving this. This is awesome. It's the perfect tone. Some of the kills are gnarly. Corey, I know you already kind of highlighted your thoughts, but go into in a little bit more depth as to what you were surprised by and what you loved about Final Destination
Bloodlines.
I love
adding to the lore, like you were saying, of, like, what if, like, people that survived had families? Like, that's just an interesting way to kind of bring fresh energy to the franchise. I also think this one does the most to like have an actual story and characters. The other ones are just kind of like, all right, they're all gonna die. Let's just see them die.
All right, how do we survive this?
Yeah.
There's like the one information dump scene of like, okay, this is what's happening, and then Tony Todd shows up and he's like, death does not like to be cocked, basically.
That was a really good impression.
That of Tony Todd, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was 100%
awesome,
my
man.
Tony Todd impression.
But yeah, I think the other good thing they do is like dealing with generational trauma and just bringing that like family dynamic, which is something that we haven't really had in the movies before because that wasn't the focus really. But you just have like the grandma and then the mom kind of was away for a while and then the kids are there. And I just thought that brought in like, it's not like great writing, it's not just incredible characters, but it's enough where you're like, okay, I'm actually like not wanting you guys to die, whereas a lot of the other main characters, I'm kind of like, you can
You're
die.
obnoxious, you're annoying, you can die, it's fine. Like,
But-
I'm just waiting for that fun death scene of you. Like,
For sure. And I think this movie, like you said, struck a really good tone of having, like, playing into the fun kills and the premise of this franchise and embracing that, having that good kind of family dynamic, that core there, but also just being incredibly funny. We were dying laughing in this movie. There is a coffee mug in this movie that it says...
It's just in the when it takes place, after the scene that kind of plays out, the timing of it is perfect.
It's that is... I'm going to spoil one of your Christmas gifts now. That's going to be one of your gifts.
Honestly, that's fantastic.
I lost my shit there. I want to give specific shout outs to Richard Harmon and Owen Patrick Joyner. They played...
Is that Eric and Bobby?
Eric and Bobby.
Hell yeah, Eric and Bobby.
They are the two... the characters that are introduced, and I was like...
You're going to be annoying.
I'm like, I don't think I'm going to like you. You're going to be like the dumb side characters. And they have some of the funniest shit in this movie, especially once you get into an MRI scene, which is, I think, the best, like, 2 kills in the movie.
For sure.
It was so entertaining. Just stuff with piercings was so just gnarly, but also fucking hilarious. And they, like, stole the movie for me. I'm like, you guys are hilarious and great. And they really did bring back the, like... the intricacies of the deaths. Like the backyard barbecue scene had a lot of like the glass and then the rake that's in the yard and the trampoline and like everything there. And even in the hospital they had like the vending machine into the MRI room, all this kind of stuff, which I appreciate that they kind of got back to that. So for me, this is my favorite of the franchise.
Oh, for sure.
You know, I know some people, you know, would kind of be surprised by that, but I didn't have nostalgia for this franchise. Obviously, I didn't really grow up watching them because I just watched through them all this week. But I really liked just kind of all the elements of this movie. I thought it was the like perfect kind of total package of what this franchise is, and really hit on all cylinders there. So if I had to do a quick ranking of the movies, like I said, I like all of them, so it's kind of they're all pretty close. But I'd probably go Bloodlines and then 2, 1, 3, 5, 4 would be my ranking.
Yeah. This is, like you said, my favorite of the franchise as well. I think it perfectly handles the tone of it. The kills are gory, but they're also fun, and they're also kind of like, they know how to really like put a knife in and twist it. Like it's like, fuck, that's uncomfy. I don't like that. And the characters are people that I actually cared about. I wasn't like just waiting for them all to die off. The characters you referenced, Eric and Bobby, when they're introduced, I'm like, oh, you guys need to die first, please. And then Eric is nonstop the funniest character from there on out, and his kind of camaraderie with his brother, who's played by I don't remember the actor's name. You listed him, but Bobby is his younger brother, and their back and forth is good, and kind of the things that they try and toy with in terms of like how they can potentially cheat death and stuff like that. And one might have a peanut allergy, and how they kind of play with like stupid shit like that. Also a very fitting send-off for Tony Todd within this film and this franchise as a whole. They find a really clever way to not like shoehorn him into this movie, but to like naturally work him into the story. And it's so wild that the best or the better send-off for a Tony Todd horror franchise is Final Destination Bloodlines as opposed to the 2019 Candyman. It's like, really? This is the one that's going to give me like satisfaction in him not being a part of this world and also not being a part of our world, sadly. And I think that they handled it with like a good amount of nuance and grace. And he's not in the movie a lot, but his few moments or his scene that he's really in this movie, I was like, damn, that was really effective. Like,
I didn't expect to like almost start tearing.
Yeah,
up
I was like,
Final
shit,
Destination movie. I was like, damn, bro. But they find a good way too to not just have that like kind of meta like saying goodbye to this character, but also like tying him into the mythology of the story, which I thought was really cool too.
Yeah.
just somebody that's like been around it and is not just like the historian that knows all this stuff, but is actually like involved in the like the kills and everything and all that. So I thought it was really good, and I think kind of at the time of filming they knew that he knew and kind of everybody knew like he doesn't have much time left.
He doesn't have a lot of time.
So his kind of final lines of like life is precious. You got to enjoy every moment that you have. Like I'm gonna go do that. I want to enjoy the time left I have here.
Good
really
luck.
like just poignant moment and just really beautiful within this movie that has just insane deaths and somebody like hanging from their wedding ring as two things and like their skin just gets ripped off. That was the grossest moment for me.
There's a couple of moments like that.
Nasty.
There's a good garbage compactor scene.
Oh,
There's some good the MRI scene is, I think, not only the best kill in this movie, I think it's one of the best in the franchise. But yeah, Final Destination Bloodlines, what a fun watch. Maybe one of the best watches and most fun I've had in the theaters this year.
Most surprising for sure.
Most surprising for sure. Yeah. It's easily my favorite of the franchise, and I have a little bit more nostalgia than you. I remember growing up, my brother Blake had he had the first one and the third one. So those are the ones I watched the most growing up. And I love the third one, but I would probably rank it like Bloodlines 1, 3, 2, or 1, 5, 3, 2, 4. 4, like I know 4 is like my least favorite. Bloodlines I know is my absolute favorite, and everything else is like pretty good. Like it's a pretty consistent horror franchise, so there's not a lot of like big gripes I have with it aside from like the story's kind of cut and paste the same throughout the franchise, except here they do a lot of like refreshing and reinvigorating things. I'm like, wow, you did a nice creative touch to this.
Yeah.
So
the main just kind of last point on this whole franchise as a whole, the main issue that I have is nobody cares when anybody dies.
Yeah, and that's still an issue within this
yeah.
movie. They move past, and like it's almost worse in this movie because they're related. They're all family, and people are dying not left and right, but like there's like a funeral scene, and then 5 minutes later a funeral scene, and they're relatives.
Oh yeah.
And they're all just like unpacking it so nonchalant. They're more like thrown off by the fact that people are dying and like in weird ways, as opposed to like we just lost this person.
Anytime somebody dies, they're just like, all right, who's next?
Yeah.
Who's next? Like,
fuck them? Who's next?
Yeah, that's
like,
my mom over there. She
yeah.
just died, but like, yeah, am I next or are you next?
Yeah.
Like which is like kind of funny, I guess in a way.
Yeah, it's a little tongue in cheek, but also it's like you should probably be a little bit more
like
sad.
Just like a minute of you being like, oh, somebody I care about died. But it's just a funny,
they move past it
constant theme throughout the franchise. That with like this and Scream, I think are the two most consistent horror franchises that are still kind of going today.
That and the most recent Halloween trilogy, I think, is
Shut
very
the
consistent.
fuck up. I hate that. The 2018 one's good. The other two are dog shit.
You
know it.
I will. Yeah. I love them all, but like I will acknowledge they're not the latter two aren't the best. And honestly, the 2018 one isn't that great, but it's the revival of Michael Myers. So yeah, whatever. But I completely agree. Final Destination. And
I'll throw that shit out there. Don't try and Halloween
just to piss you off a little bit. But Final Destination and Scream are definitely the more consistent horror franchises. If they were to do more, I'd be happy if they continue on with this same creative team. I saw like we were sitting through the end credits and John Watts was one of the writers, and we're like, what the fuck? John Watts is writing these? Cool. Like, all right, sweet. If they're willing to bring back the same directing team of Zach Lepofsky and Adam Stein, and which of their previous works they made like a 2019 Kim Possible movie, like live action. Like, what the fuck is that? Okay,
yeah,
but they're killing it in this, so fuck. They maybe found their niche. Make them just the spearheads, the front runners, and the storytellers of this franchise, and I'll be there opening day, because this one was, like I said, a big surprise. Aside from kind of like the newer releases this week, it was a little bit of a slow week. I did watch a lot of kind of old movies that I've had just kind of waiting in the wings. Like, all right, whenever I have time. And everyone always talks to me about the movie The Producers, and I know the like bare bones story of The Producers, the like Springtime for Hitler. I don't know if you know that, so that could just be completely nothing. Okay, so The Producers from 1967. There's also a 2005 remake with Will Ferrell in it and Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane, so a pretty star-studded cast in that one. But the 1967 one is the feature directorial debut of Mel Brooks, who obviously made Spaceballs and Blazing Saddles, which I need to rewatch Blazing Saddles because I don't think I like that movie as much as most people. But this 1967 version of The Producers stars Zero Mostel, Gene Wilder, and Dick Shawn. The synopsis is this stage play producer played by Zero Mostel, who he devises this plan because Gene Wilder, his accountant, comes to him and he's like, you know what? a producer of a Broadway show could actually almost make more money off of a Broadway flop than a hit. If you secure all this funding, but you don't have enough funding to, like, you didn't make enough money to really, like, repay the backers of this show, you could pocket a lot of shit. It's fraud. Like, you can commit fraud. And that's what this show is. It's these guys trying to, like, Gene Wilder and Zero Mostel set out to find the worst possible fucking production that they can put on. And they find this random, I'm going to say closeted Nazi. He's very just outwardly Nazi, wearing like a Third Reich helmet. Like, he's got Nazi patches, and he's very like, I love Hitler, like, my Führer, like, he's the guy. They find this production titled Springtime for Hitler, and they're like, this is it. This is the biggest heaping pile of dog shit. No one's going to want to watch this. It's about Hitler. This movie takes place in 1967, so it's not like the furthest away from World War II, but like, it's still pretty close. They're like, we'll put this on. We'll see how it goes. And this is looked at as being kind of a comedy classic, and as I mentioned, there's remakes and stuff of that. I really enjoyed this movie. It is very interesting to sit down and watch a Mel Brooks movie where it's like, oh, this is his first Mel Brooks movie, and it kind of shows. You can see him like kind of figuring out his tone and his style and how he writes jokes. And there's a lot of good like slapstick between Gene Wilder and Zero Mostel, and I really enjoyed this movie. Some of the jokes didn't 100% land, and some of it was kind of, yeah, I get what you're going for. I don't know if this joke is just dated or if I ever would have found it funny, even if I was alive when this movie came out. But it was a pleasant surprise sitting down and watching this. I love Gene Wilder. Dick Shawn plays a character named LSD. His acronym for his name is LSD. I forget what his actual, like, Larry, Stewart, Dick, whatever his fucking name is, but LSD. And he plays Hitler in this show for Springtime for Hitler, basically as like a drug-ridden Elvis Presley approach to Hitler, and it's just very amusing. It was a good time to just sit down. I put it on because my wife always will like just Springtime for Hitler, and like we'll just say that in our apartment.
Crazy.
I'm like, a crazy thing, especially coming from someone who's never seen the movie or the show, so I don't get the reference, and she's just like trotting through doing the dishes like Springtime for I'm like, what is this? So finally getting to watch that with her, and she really likes the story of this. She prefers, because she'd never seen the 67 version, she said that she prefers the 2005 one, which again has Matthew Broderick, Nathan Lane, and Will Ferrell, who plays the Nazi character who wrote Springtime for Hitler. So I might actually go back and watch the 2005 version. Corey, have you seen The Producers? I know you're a Mel Brooks fan. Have you seen this movie?
I have not, but I do like Mel Brooks. I mean, I love Spaceballs, Blazing Saddles. Young Frankenstein is
another great one.
Hilarious. Yeah. I fucking love that movie. What's a little fucking hunchback in that movie?
Igor? That's the...
yeah, Igor? Is that his name?
I'm pretty sure that's the character in Frankenstein. I don't know if that's actually what they refer to him in Young Frankenstein. I can look it up.
Yeah, whatever. That dude is fucking hilarious.
His bug eyes.
He's just like chomping everywhere. He's like, just doing that shit throughout the whole movie. And I love Mel Brooks' style of humor. I think he's just like such a classic like comedic force.
Marty Feldman as Igor.
Yeah.
Just bug eyes the entire fucking movie.
The horses just neighing throughout the whole movie is so funny. It's just like old school comedy that I really like. So I have wanted to watch The Producers for a while, so I'll definitely check that one out soon. Last week we talked about some Mother's Day movies that we kind of associate with our moms. And then for Mother's Day, I went over to my mom's place and she wanted to see a movie, and she was like, I've heard Thunderbolts is pretty good. So we went and saw that together, which was really fun. She's kind of hit or miss on the MCU movies. She likes some of the smaller, kind of grounded ones.
Yeah.
But she really liked Thunderbolts, and it was great to watch it again, too. I sort of have the same like little issues with it. Some of the side characters not getting a lot of development, especially in that third act there. And then just like Lewis Pullman as Bob becoming Sentry kind of quick in that middle act. But this time I just like... The expectations going in is always big for MCU and like Star Wars movies. So having that under your belt and going in knowing what happens now, you can kind of come at it from a different angle. And it was nice to just kind of be like, all right, this is what happens. I know what's going to like go on here. Mm-hmm. And I appreciated it a lot more. And especially Bucky's theme when he's coming out on the motorcycle. I didn't really like clock it the first time that we saw it,
it's
or like
tough.
when we saw it together.
It's tough as shit.
It is fucking awesome because he's always had the Winter Soldier theme, which is like a very eerie and dark thing. But this was like him coming out as Terminator 2 moment with a shotgun. I was like, this is fucking sweet. Score's just bumping. And then the other moment that just hit me a lot more was Yelena in the street talking with Red Guardian, just being like, I just like go home and drink and just think about all the terrible things I've done. And like that moment really hit me a second time for sure. So, I love just giving this a rewatch. I'm glad my mom liked it too. And if you haven't seen it yet, definitely check it out because it's one of the better MCU movies in a while.
And it's the MCU for a long time. I feel like you could almost have any movie be an entry point. Like you can start and become an MCU fan on almost any movie, and you didn't necessarily need like the backlog of like the potential homework of like the earlier films and stuff like that. With Disney Plus, I feel like that's kind of muddled it. It's like, all right, well, you watched the Marvels, but you didn't know where Ms. Marvel's from or Photon's from or like any of that stuff. So you kind of feel like you have homework, which Thunderbolts, there's characters that are from other things, but if you went into the Thunderbolts, which I'm guessing your mom didn't sit down and watch Black Widow and sit down and watch Falcon and Winter Soldier on Disney Plus, but like I'm imagining you can go in and still have a really good time with this being a new entry point into the MCU, and that's, I think, also speaks a little bit to the success of it. I think it is a great movie, and it's one of my top 5 MCU movies, at least still. I've seen it twice. I haven't really moved it out of my top 5. We'll see if over time I do, but yeah, I'm really happy that you're able to take your mom to it, because I always try and find movies that I could bring my mom to, and I'm like, what the fuck does she want to see? Like when Reagan came out, she's like, I really want to go see Reagan. And I'm like, I really don't fucking want to go see Dennis Quaid in a Reagan movie, so do you want to go see Blink Twice? I know you'll hate it, but I want to see it. And she's like, okay. I'm like, all right, thanks. But yeah, happy that you're able to have that experience with your mom for Thunderbolts. Earlier this week, there was a documentary a long time ago, back in the early 2000s, that came out, and I've always heard of it, but I've also always known that it is an absolute depressing, sad, fucking day ender, day ruiner of a movie called Dear Zachary, A Letter to a Son About His Father. It came out in 2008. I've always known of it, but I'm like, I need to be in a very specific mood to watch this. It's like, you're not going to watch Schindler's List on like a nice Saturday evening when you have a couple drinks in you. You're going to wait until you're like, I'm already not in the best mood. Like, my wife was out of town this past week and I was missing her, and I'm like, you know what? I'm already kind of down. Fuck it, I'll watch a down movie. So I watched this documentary, which is directed by Kurt Kuhn. It's about a filmmaker who's deciding to memorialize his friend's life. His friend who then had a son that obviously he's not going to be around for, so he wanted to try and like, hey, this is what your dad was like. This is his effect that he had on the world and the people that loved him. And through this documentary and the process of this man making this documentary about his friend Andrew, he learns horrific shit, not necessarily about his friend, but the things that happen with the death of him and how his friend died and the nature of that, and also who sticks around after his death. So the documentary, it touches on a lot of tough subjects. It's really, like I said, it's a downer, but it's also one of the most impactful documentaries. It's one of those movies where like it ends and you're like, I'm not quick to turn it off. I'm just gonna let the credits roll. It's devastating, and it's very, at points, kind of terrifying. Like it gave me chills in a way where I'm like, I should make sure my door's locked tonight. Very, very impactful documentary, and one of the better ones I've seen in a long time. Again, it's a fucking downer. So if you think, yeah, I'm on Amazon Prime. Oh, Dear Zachary, A Letter to a Son About His Father. That sounds like a really happy movie. It's not. Know what you're getting yourself into. It's also one of the better ones that I've seen in a while. So you're going to get something of high quality, and it sends a message about just how to police certain things and who should be entrusted with the custody of a child after a parent's passing. It's a dark story that takes a lot of kind of surprising and upsetting turns, but it is very effective, and the message of the film is, I think, really relevant still. Corey, I don't know, like, this is a movie where I know I can't really pitch this or recommend this to a lot of people, because it's like, hey, watch this movie, it'll ruin your day. You'll love it.
Yeah.
But I think you would probably enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never heard of it before, just kind of hearing you talk about it today. So definitely will have to be in the right mood if and when I do check it out.
One of the saddest things I've ever seen.
Yeah. So,
consistently for all of the hour and 40 minutes of it.
I'll keep that in my back pocket for after the Wolves lose to like the Knicks or something in the finals.
Okay. Well, that's optimistic. You think we're going to get past the Western Conference
Who
finals?
knows? We'll see.
I mean, what, 2:30, or it was at 2:30 what the...
Yeah, Thunder and Nuggets are playing right now, I think. Yeah, so we'll find out who we're playing pretty soon.
Scary.
But we also had this week the newest episode of The Last of Us Season 2. This was the 5th episode, and another just solid episode. I've really been digging this show, and really carrying on the story post-Joel has been something I've been worried about. But with this episode, you get Ellie and Dina, and they're just trying to like navigate through Seattle. They go in a building, and is it the stalkers? Is that what the like smart clickers
the smarter...
Yeah, that scene is great when they're like trying to go through, and they just like look over something, and there's like just sets of eyes throughout, and you're like, oh fuck, these are the smart
like, all right,
ones.
we can't get out of here.
Yeah, so that scene is great. You get Jesse coming back in to help save the day a little bit. You get the people out in the woods that are just carving them up, just hanging them, and just intestines falling everywhere. So it's another good episode. I have wanted to see more of Abby this season. I've been a little upset. We've had 2 episodes of her in the last 3. She hasn't been in it because I know the game, like you play as her.
Almost like immediately following the death of Joel, you kind of jump into Abby's turn.
Yeah. So hoping to see some more of her in this last part of the season. But you see Ellie just fucking up Nora, chasing her throughout like this spore-infested like level of this hospital or whatever.
That visually was stunning.
You just like see like particles floating around. You're like, I feel gross right now.
Yeah, you go in there, you're getting cancer first inhale. You're fucked.
Yeah, but it's great to see Ellie just like going ape shit and killing her and just being like, that's what I've wanted.
Yeah.
Is just see Ellie being like, all right, Joel died, like the sole thing in my life that saved me, and you're one of the reasons for it. So it's great to see her just like. What was it, like a bat, or what did she use to kill her? Like a bat?
Like a pipe.
A pipe, yeah.
Busted up pipe, yeah.
Like, perfect. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I don't agree with anyone who says that this show has taken a step down in terms of quality after the passing of Joel or Pedro Pascal's exit, which I'm really excited for this upcoming week. Tonight's episode where we get more of a flashback-based episode with Joel and Ellie being able to spend time together and see more of that relationship between Season 1 and Season 2. I think that this episode was exceptional. Got to see a lot of things that I've been kind of, like you were waiting to see of Ellie. Just, you know what, fuck it. Like, you are part of the reason why I lost the most important person in my life, and you are not gonna like live to breathe another day. Like, you're fucked. And you also get a great moment in that final altercation between Nora and Ellie, of Nora being like, do you know what he did? Do you know why we killed him? Like, he killed all these doctors because he didn't want them to make a cure out of you because it would have killed you. And she's like, I know. And it's like, oh, this is the first time we have admittance of her knowing this within the show. So I'm like, all right. And you get that just blank stare like, no, I know. Doesn't change anything. You're going to die. And I think that they handled that very well. My biggest gripe, I would say, within Season 2, because I don't think that the quality has dropped because we've lost Joel. I think Bella Ramsey as Ellie has been an exceptional lead, and I entrust her with this show. I think that she can carry the show enough. My biggest gripe, though, has been some of there's like not like humor, but more of like the lighter moments, which I get you need that within the relationship between Dina and Ellie, but sometimes Ellie's a little too, I think, excitable by things, and I'm like, this doesn't scream to me that you are just distraught after this death of this person that saved your life and was basically a father to you. So I'm wanting more of that anger, and this episode definitely gave us some of that, so I'm excited by that, and I'm really interested to see where it goes. I'm excited for that flashback episode. I don't think that this season has really had like a missed episode. Everything has really worked for me so far. With the lack of shifting perspective to Abby, I think that maybe that's something that we'll get in Season 3 now. Because
seems like it, yeah.
I thought that we would have gotten that kind of similar to the game where we're like, all right, pretty quickly after Joel's death, you play as Abby, and I'm like, all right, when are we going to get that perspective? And I'm like, maybe Season 3 is all Abby until like the latter 2 episodes we get Ellie back, and she's like, all right, what's going on? So I'm excited to see Monster Ellie. I'm excited to see her just no holds bar. I'm fucking you up. You're dying for this. So I'm excited to see where that rage leads her and kind of how this show handles it. And I'm also really excited to see a more poignant, hopeful episode with her and Joel as the center points as we have this next flashback episode later on tonight. So
yeah, just a like heartbreaking final shot of this last episode of Joel just being like, "Hey, kiddo," it's like, ugh.
It's like,
God damn
just
it, dude.
immediately shifts us back into it, and you're like,
It's like,
all right, well,
it's like,
damn.
I wish you were back.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So excited for Last of Us Season 2, Episode 6 tonight, and I believe that this is just a 7-episode season, so this is the penultimate episode, which is weird
Crazy.
to think. Yeah. I'm interested to see kind of where they operate with as like having a cutoff point for the season, as it is going to be kind of a distinct middle portion between the game of Part 2, Last of Us Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm eager to see where that kind of resolves itself and leads into a third season. I got a little anxious this past week, actually just last night. I'm starting the marketing for Mission Impossible, which Final Reckoning, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is starting to finally work on me. And the same thing happened with Dead Reckoning Part 1, where I was like, I'm not like super excited about it. I'm not like eager to go see it opening day. But it's usually like the week of or right around. I'm like, fuck, these movies are awesome. I love these movies. Where we talked about Final Destination and Scream being one of the most consistent horror franchises, Mission Impossible is one of the most consistent action franchises. If you kind of accept Mission Impossible 2 as like the like ugly stepchild, but I've started to slowly get really excited for Final Reckoning this week. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to revisit Mission Impossible Rogue Nation from 2015, which is directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who's kind of gone on and been the spearhead of this franchise, aside from Tom Cruise, obviously. The film stars kind of the franchise regulars of Tom Cruise, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson. I think that this was the last appearance we had of Jeremy Renner within this franchise as well. Sean Harris and Alec Baldwin. And I'm not even going to really like dive into the synopsis of it. It's just Ethan Hunt thrown into unwinnable scenarios, doing spy shit, somehow winning. There's great stunts. What I will say, because I know next week will, as Corey inevitably with his excessive fandom weird ass, will watch all of the Mission Impossible movies, and we'll talk about them probably more extensive next week. I will say that this is one of my favorites of the franchise, and I think it is one of the best paced with awesome stunt work throughout. Some of the movies in this franchise, while they still have great stunt work and great, like, amazing show-stopping stunts, sometimes I think that those stunts can get in the way of a good paced film. Ghost Protocol, you kind of have that awesome stunt with, is it Burj Khalifa, or what is the, the Burj Khalifa
there,
tunnel, where he's climbing, and it's like, that's an awesome scene, an awesome sequence, but after that, there's kind of a lull, and like the movie goes on for like 20 more minutes where it's like, this feels like the end, this is something awesome. And you kind of also get that from me personally within Dead Reckoning, where it's like we're building up, Dead Reckoning Part 1, or scratch the Part 1 now, where we're building up to that one train, that motorcycle jump into that final train sequence, which is like the only thing that marketing campaign relied on. So I think Rogue Nation is one of the best paced of the franchise. You get the introduction of Rebecca Ferguson, the carrying on of Jeremy Renner's character within the franchise, and Tom Cruise doing some of my favorite consistency within his stunts. Yeah, you get that big airplane hang that happens within the first 5 minutes of the movie, which was also a big part of the marketing. But also there's an awesome like underwater heist that lasts for like 4 to 5 minutes of him just not breathing. You're like, how the fuck? I'm out of breath, and I'm not even in water right now. Like I think that this film is just like nonstop suspense, tension, and action, and it handles it all so well without becoming too convoluted. So I was really happy to rewatch Rogue Nation. I reached out to a couple of Corey and I's friends who aren't necessarily like big movie heads, but like I heard that they're doing a Mission Impossible rewatch. I'm like, what's your Mission Impossible movie? What's your favorite one? They both put Rogue Nation in their top echelon of this franchise. So I'm like, yep, all right, I'm gonna watch that one. And it's such a great time. It holds up exceptionally well, and the stunt work is awesome. Motorcycle chases, all that shit. Hell yeah. Some of these movies are 2 hours and 40 minutes. Some are like 220. This 220, 2 hours and 17 minutes, or whatever Rogue Nation was, flew by. Because the stunts are exceptional, and it's just such a fun watch.
Yeah, I'm really excited to go through and rewatch the movies, because I've seen, obviously, like Fallout and Rogue Nation, Dead Reckoning Part 1 pretty recently, but the original, like 3 or 4, it's been a while, so I just wanted to go back and revisit them. As this week we got Final Reckoning coming out, seemingly the last one Tom Cruise is in. Maybe it's not confirmed, but it seems like it's kind of going that way. I guess we'll figure out once we see the movie.
What if he dies?
What if
Ethan Hunt dies?
It could happen.
Yeah.
It could be a James Bond, No Time to Die type thing.
Spoiler alert. for the best James Bond movie ever.
Yeah, one of them for sure.
Mine, my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that movie 11 times in theaters.
Yeah,
that movie's 2 hours and 43 minutes. Like that's. I put in work on that fucking movie.
That's days worth.
Yeah, I fucking love that shit.
It is great. But yeah, I'm really excited for Final Reckoning. I think this feels like the first like huge weekend of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've had like Thunderbolts and Final Destination so far, but like this is you know, one of two kind of bigger releases this week. And yeah, I can't wait for Final Reckoning. I think Christopher McQuarrie has done awesome work in this franchise. I have missed like getting the individual flavor of each director a little bit. Like we had Brian De Palma, even John Woo, who like brought his style to it. It's still an interesting watch. And then you have J.J. Abrams, Brad Bird. Like it kind of switched each movie and made it feel a little bit different. These have all been like the last three, now four are kind of feel very much cohesive, their own storyline, like building up to their stuff. But yeah, I can't wait for the movie. I'm stoked. I'm not going to go through and rewatch the old show, even though it is pretty good. Like I've seen some episodes and it's fun. I just don't have the time for that.
Yeah. With Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning, we have Haley Atwell is coming back. She was in Dead Reckoning, which I need to rewatch Dead Reckoning. I think that is my homework going into this week before Final Reckoning, just to kind of also this Final Reckoning was supposedly the part 2 of this story, so to kind of get me back into the swing of things. I forgot Haley Atwell was kind of in the first in Dead Reckoning, so I'm excited to kind of sit down and rewatch because I wasn't the biggest fan of Dead Reckoning when I saw it in theaters. I still liked it. Like there's like even though I will happily shit on Mission Impossible 2, like I don't think it's bad. It's just the most different of the rest of the franchise. And having Christopher McQuarrie back for Mission Impossible 5 and 7 and his Jack Reacher, the first Jack Reacher film that he did with Tom Cruise is also stellar.
Good.
I love that movie. There's some great chases and shit in that. So I love that they're just like, yeah, we're best friends. We're gonna make everything together now. It's like, all right, whatever, do it. You're making awesome stories. I love what you put down for the synopsis for Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. We're talking about the new releases for May 23rd, 2025. Corey put down, "Our lives are the sum of our choices," which is a line that we get in the trailer, I think, coming from Ving Rhames. But it says, Tom Cruise is Ethan Hunt. Tom Cruise is Ethan Hunt. Is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning?
That was the typo I meant to say, but that is directly from IMDb.
Actually,
that wasn't just
that's
me.
it?
That wasn't me like just typing it.
Oh, I thought that you were being funny.
That's what's on IMDb right now. As far as the synopsis, I'm like, you guys know what Mission Impossible is. It's spy shit. They're doing stuff, you know.
Yeah. I'm kind of eager to see how much they kind of, because I've heard from first reactions of, there's a lot of callbacks to like distinct moments of this franchise, things that we wouldn't really anticipate getting callbacks. So I'm like, are you going to bring Michelle Monaghan back?
See Rabbit's Foot?
Yeah, we're going to see Philip Seymour Hoffman as Rabbit's Foot. Like, is that going to be talked about again? So
who knows?
Yeah, I'm really interested. This is kind of not to like continually force like the Barbenheimer thing, because I feel like after obviously Barbenheimer, then it's just like every summer they're like, what 2 weird movies that have good counter programming are coming out that we can talk about that are going to amass massive audiences and make great money at the box office. And it's like, well, we got Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning this week. And we got Lilo & Stitch, which I think is going to be the biggest box office earner of the summer, likely. I'm really excited for Lilo & Stitch, surprisingly. I can't say I'm the most like eager fan for a lot of these Disney live-action remakes. I don't really give a shit. I did like Jungle Book. I loved Kenneth Branagh's Cinderella. Aside from that, I don't really fucking care. But Lilo & Stitch means a lot to my wife, so it means a lot to me. So we'll probably go see this movie together. It's directed by Dean Fleischerkamp, who directed Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, which I love that movie from A24. And I completely forgot that he was the director of this movie. So I'm kind of, that helps to raise the bar for me. The film stars Chris Sanders, Maya Kiloa, Sidney Agudong, Billy Magnuson, Courtney B. Vance, Hannah Waddingham, and Zach Galifianakis, which I didn't know Zach Galifianakis was in this movie at all.
Oh yeah, dude. I don't know who he plays.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw it yesterday. I don't remember who. But
and you know the story of Lilo & Stitch. Yeah, I will. Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning, in terms of movies coming out this week, that is my go-to first watch. Also, Friendship is getting a more of a wide release, so I'm going to try and find that in theaters too. But Mission Impossible is the event film of this weekend for me.
We've got, let's see, Milo and Stitch Impossible. I'm just trying to do like a Barbenheimer
You're trying to do a
thing.
merge?
Yeah, I don't know what the like best...
Stitch Impossible?
I don't know. I don't know.
Stitching? Final Stitching?
The final...
I like that. The final stitching ain't bad.
Let's go with that. I'll also, just because, you know, the autism creeps into the brain every once in a while, I'm going to watch all of the Lilo and Stitch
Yeah, I remember you bringing that
animated
up.
movies. I've only seen the original one. I haven't seen the other two. And Leroy and Stitch, I think it's called.
You have a heavy fucking work week of getting through all the Mission
I have to watch
Impossible
like 11 movies to prep for this. I don't have to.
I know, and I told you, after we watched Final Destination, I'm like, well, what are you going to watch this week? And he's like, all these fucking movies. I'm like, you don't have to do that to yourself. Which I can't. I think, honestly, the worst possible movie you're probably going to watch is Mission Impossible 2, and we both kind of enjoyed that movie.
It's like I haven't seen some of those other ones, and Lilo and Stitch. I'm like, what other time am I going to want to watch these movies? Might as well just do it now.
I get the thought process. I'm just not as brave as you.
Yeah.
Or resilient.
We'll get there. We'll check him off. I do love Stitch. He is a good little sneaky blue bastard, though. I like him. he's a fun little guy. He's always just fucking shit up.
I like that they've kind of worked him into the marketing for everything again, like what they did with the original animated film of just like, Disney project, and it's like, Stitch is here though. Fuck, shit. Yeah. Everything's going wrong.
He's always in something. I don't know.
Yeah.
A non-theatrical thing coming out on Apple TV Plus is Fountain of Youth, which is a Guy Ritchie movie. That's crazy that it's going straight to streaming. Don't like that.
Did The Covenant get a theatrical release? It did? Okay.
Yeah. So, I think this is his first movie just going straight to streaming. We talked about The Gentleman a few weeks back, which I watched for the first time and really loved. He's got Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, Sherlock Holmes, which... fucking
Sherlock
awesome.
Holmes is amazing.
I think we both grew up with those movies at like the right time, 9-10 years old, and we're just like, these are fucking awesome. But it's got a pretty good cast. John Krasinski, Natalie Portman, Isaac Gonzalez, and it's about two siblings who are joining forces to find the Fountain of Youth. So we're doing that. Pirates of the Caribbean 4, also trying to find the Fountain of Youth.
Yep.
We'll see if they find it. I don't know. Apple TV Plus original movie. See how that goes.
Yeah.
It looks like it could be sort of an Uncharted-esque kind of just fine adventure movie where you watch it and you're like, okay.
It feels like National Treasure, almost like the Mummy franchise with Brendan Fraser, just trying to find something that like, all right, what relic can we go after? What movie can we have a cutaway where it's just us on a fake plane going over a map with a line following us? Like I imagine that has to be a transition within this film. I'm not super excited for it. I do like Guy Ritchie, and I'm really stoked for him to potentially be doing Roadhouse 2, which is not a sequel I wanted and or needed, but him being attached to it, all right, I'm kind of excited for it. I think he's a really good director. I like the majority of his back catalog. With it being straight to streaming, it's definitely the last thing of the things we've talked about that's coming out this week that I'm going to rush to go see. Also, I don't think I've renewed my Apple TV Plus since Severance wrapped up, so... Nice. I'm like, is this going to be the one that makes me go back to Apple TV Plus? Probably not. I might just get a random desire to go watch Shrinking and finally sit through that show and catch up on that as opposed to watching Fountain of Youth. But that is also the streaming option for this week. Moving into a bit of a physical media roundup. What we purchased lately. I yesterday decided to just drop big coin on a bunch of fucking steelbooks because I was sitting at home for too long on my phone. But I ordered the Naked Gun 4K Blu-ray Steelbook, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago. I saw that movie for the first time kind of after the trailer that dropped for the newer Naked Gun, and I loved the old one with Leslie Nielsen, so I ordered that Steelbook. Also, it being a heavy Mission Impossible week, I ordered the Mission Impossible Rogue Nation Blu-ray Steelbook, the Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol 4K Steelbook, the Mission Impossible Fallout, which is my favorite Mission Impossible movie, the Mission Impossible Fallout 4K Steelbook, as well as I bought The Producers on Blu-ray this week and watched it as we talked about.
Yeah, I did not buy anything this week. But this is a smaller release week. We have Presents coming out, which neither of us really cared for all that much. But then if you're a Friday the 13th fan, we've got Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X coming out on Arrow Video 4Ks. And Jason Goes to Hell, it's one of the worst of the one of the worst of the franchise. But you get Freddy's fingers coming up out of the at the end of the movie there, and then it took a long ass time to actually pay that off. It was 10 years later or something when Freddy vs. Jason came out. But Jason X, though, that came out, I think it was 2001, maybe.
David Cronenberg's in that fucking movie.
The movie's hilarious. It is great. It's just genuinely one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies because of how much fun it is to watch.
And how campy they're we're self-aware of this movie. Actually, we know exactly what we got here.
There's a part where
they're in fucking space now.
What is it? It's the sink, and then they dry freeze. What is it? The fucking.
I don't know. I was gonna say cryogenic,
smoke, but kind of
dry
they
ice.
freeze.
nitro, frozen.
They freeze somebody and then he takes them out, smashes their skull in the
Dylan,
fucking
help
thing,
us.
and blows up. Whatever. I don't, it's fucking sweet. It's awesome. I love one of my favorite kills in like the whole franchise. So I'm actually like kind of wanting to buy these movies just to like complete the Friday the 13th collection.
Yeah,
it's a disease that we have of like completing collections.
You saw more than me. Since I moved in with my wife, I went through a lot of like the franchises. I was like, all right, just the ones that I know I'm gonna watch again. So I don't own every MCU movie anymore. I have gone back and bought a couple of the ones that I've sold off. I'm like, actually, I really do fucking love this movie. Yeah. Even though I have Disney Plus and I could watch them on streaming, but I'm
still in the bachelor pad, so I can afford to
just fucking splurge on
buy movies that I don't even like, probably won't watch again. Yeah. But I'm like, it makes me feel better that I have it.
Understandable. In terms of movie news this week, we had a pretty big trailer release week. We had the new Superman official trailer, first official trailer for Ironheart, trailer for Nobody 2, and Spider-Man Noir, which is a project that I never thought we would ever see. And it's crazy to see Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man, our very own Nicolas Cage, who is my co-host on this show.
All right.
Yeah, that is like the one thing. People always say Corey looks like Nicolas Cage. I always think he looks like White Ludacris. And I stand by that one. I understand the Nicolas Cage comment. Anyway, regardless of those comparisons to Corey, which of those trailers this week really stood out to you, Corey?
I mean, Superman was the biggest one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Spider-Man Noir, I wish it was animated, just because like I love the style of him in like the Into the Spider-Verse movie. I think that could have lent itself better to just doing more interesting things. Yeah. But I'm very curious about it. Nobody 2 looks like, it's
another Nobody movie.
Bob Odenkirk going on vacation. If it's as fun as the first one, then sweet. Yeah. I'm down. Ironheart, this series was filmed before Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which came out in 2022. And that movie introduced Ironheart, Riri Williams. Yep. I think that's her name. It was like a fine character there. I just don't. This was kind of in that era where they were greenlighting every show, and they've started to reel back on that a little bit. So this feels like kind of from a bygone era of being like, all right, well, we have this shot, like we should probably release it, and like just they're dumping. I think it's 6 episodes, and they're putting out 3 episodes a week.
So it's going to be done in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I believe that's the release strategy, which feels very much like we don't want to have this out that long. We just need to get it out.
Then don't put it out.
I don't know.
Like, it feels like it's like when Zaslav shelved Batgirl for Warner Brothers. It's like you could just, if you're not proud of it, or if it doesn't really fit into what's going on now, like maybe just fucking don't put it out, especially if it's going to hurt the brand or anything. But I don't know, if they have enough confidence to put it out, then maybe it's like at least okay. Maybe it's like the Hawkeye quality, which I never finished Hawkeye on Disney Plus, but maybe it's that good.
See.
Maybe it's at least enjoyable.
Yeah. But yeah, the Superman trailer, you get more of Lois Lane, and she's doing an interview with Superman.
Yeah.
Which I like that kind of being the opening scene of the trailer. And I'm still super pumped for this movie. Obviously, it's like my number 2 anticipated for the rest of the year. I still have the same worries from the initial trailer of there being so many characters. There's like 15 main characters in this movie, and I'm worried about that because I just really want a Superman movie, and just seeing him, and I'm fine with him coming into a world where there already are superheroes. Like I don't need a Man of Steel where it's just him. I'm totally fine with that idea. I think just tone it back a little bit. I don't need every single person. I don't need like a Green Lantern in this movie necessarily. But I'm obviously haven't seen the movie yet, so we'll see how they play into it. But I'm still really excited for it.
The Ironheart trailer didn't really move much for me. It's more just like, oh yeah, I forgot Anthony Ramos was in this. So I'm kind of, I don't know. It's a short commitment. If it is just 6 episodes over 2 weeks, then all right, maybe I'll probably binge through all of that show, and maybe I'll like it, maybe I won't. There's a lot of Disney Plus Marvel shows where I was like, I don't need to watch this. But this one, I'm like, that trailer's like okay. I hated the line of like, I want to make something iconic, and it's like you're just duplicating Iron Man. Like, is it
same shit?
Like,
you
just fucking
punch
copy
the
and
car
paste
at the
that?
end. Like that's the
okay,
thing.
like you did every trailer beat in that. Like, oh, I flipped the truck. It's like they do that in every fucking movie. They did it in Thunderbolts, and I liked it, but like you just copy and paste. Nobody. I really love Nobody, and Nobody 2. I'm like, yeah, they're on vacation. All right, Bob Odenkirk's still here. Sweet. I'm excited for Spider-Man Noir. I'm gonna try and avoid as much of the trailers. Is that Amazon Prime that is?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So. I'm excited to watch it. I'm just going to try and avoid it as much as possible. I don't need a long-running show of that. If they just did like a 1-season, one-and-done, 8-episode thing, fine, sounds great. Nicolas Cage being a Spider-Man is still wild.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Fuck
yeah.
it, why not?
I love the Superman trailer. I love the handling of like, hey, can we do that interview? Like, you'll let me interview you? And him switching from like, yeah, Clark Kent to like, Miss Lane. Like in that conversation, I was like, oh, you kind of get that like dual character as opposed to just like, oh, Superman is just Clark Kent, just a little disheveled and he threw on the glasses. Like, whatever. So I think that this showed a more duality in terms of like the performance of what we can expect out of David Cornsweet. I'm not worried about the amount of characters, although I will say there's a lot of characters. But there's a lot of characters in The Godfather, and that's the first movie that has like Sonny and Vito and Michael, and like there's a lot of characters in every movie. Granted, I'm like, all right, well, how are we going to balance this? Like, I still want it to, when I come out of it, I want it to feel like it was a Superman movie and not like the Justice, whatever the fuck Green Lantern and Hawk Girl are a part of and Mr. Terrific. Like, I want it to still feel like distinctly like a Superman movie. And I'm excited to see him, as, like you brought up, like Superman in a established universe, not him being the beginning point or the entry point of a new universe. So I'm really excited for it. I think the action looks great. I think that you do get some pretty good, like, Superman moments, and I could have done without like you have a dog. Like I'm like, all right, we know that Krypto's crazy and it's a wild concept. I'm still not like fully won over. I think Krypto looks cute in the trailers, but I'm like, I didn't need Krypto here, but we'll see how it goes. And like that little after, like that burner at the end of the trailer, I was like, I don't need like that joke in this movie either. But still, it's one of my most anticipated of the summer, so I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm pumped for it. We got a few announcements for new seasons of TV coming out. We have The Bear Season 4 coming out on June 25th. I love the show. I've got an original Beef with Chicagoland shirt on right now. I just love it. It's like, I don't know, people complain like, oh, it's not a comedy series. I'm like, I don't care. Just like I don't care.
Give it awards. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't care if it's funny or not. Like, it's a great show, and I'm excited for Season 4. Alien Earth. From Noah Hawley is coming out on Hulu on August 12th. Very excited for that, just to see maybe a different, like, aliens on Earth from the title, to see what that's like. And then we have The Paper, which is the much talked about spin-off of The Office, coming out on Peacock in September. This is at a like dyeing paper company in the Midwest. Domhnall Gleeson seems like he's sort of the Michael Scott, just from like some of the descriptions and images that we've seen from it. Oscar's coming back in this one. That's like the only old, like, original Office person that I know or that's been confirmed so far. I'm not gonna write this one off yet. I'm curious about it. It's obviously The Office is like my favorite comedy show of all time, like top 5 shows just in general. So it's gonna be tough to live up to that, but I don't want to write it off right away because I think there could be something interesting there.
Mm-hmm. I'm really excited about The Bear Season 4, even though I've only seen The Bear Season 1. I watched all of the first season within like the span of a day and a half, and I loved it. I just never really like picked up on it. I'm just bad at watching TV. Alien Earth, actually, of this kind of news roundup in terms of TV news, Alien Earth is probably the one that has like the most excitement out of me, just because I really loved Alien Romulus. And I'm trying to avoid trailers, announcements. I keep seeing new posters, I feel like, every other day for this show, and I'm like, fuck, it's not coming out until August. Like, can you settle down? But I'm really excited for that show and to see how they handle that and incorporate that, or how much it's going to tie in, I guess, to the kind of pre-existing universe. The Paper, I'm like, it's a spin-off of something isn't going to ruin the original thing, so I'm okay with the spin-off. If it's not that funny, I'm going to check out pretty quick. But also, everyone shits on the first season of The Office. And they're like, the first season of The Office isn't funny. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's super funny.
I think it's fucking hilarious.
I love the first season of The Office. The basketball episode, secret weapon, as Stanley's coming down the stairs, and then he dribbles like me. Like, it's like, okay, he's not good at basketball. So I'm super excited to check it out. Hopefully it doesn't have to be as good, just be good enough to exist. Like, I don't need you to try and rival the original run of the U.S. Office. Like, I think it's an insurmountable odds. Like, you're not going to be able to compare. If you get anywhere close, it's a victory and it's a win, and I'm excited to kind of check it out. In terms of, we're going to file this under my wife made us talk about this because we've kind of been failing to talk about casting announcements for the new Hunger Games movie. But my wife sat down and read the new Hunger Games book, The Sunrise on the Reaping, which is about Hamish's character played by Woody Harrelson and his kind of his trial in the games and how he fared. She loved the book. She thinks it's the best book of the franchise. So she's like, you guys need to talk about all the casting announcements that's been coming out, which there are some big heavy hitters that have now been cast within this world of the Hunger Games. And in this film, Ralph Fiennes, I believe was one of the more recent announcements, will be cast as President Snow, which was famously taken on by Donald Sutherland in the original trilogy of movies. We'll have Jesse Plemons as Plutarch Havensby, McKenna Grace as Maisley Donner, Joseph Zada as Hamish Abernathy, who is likely our main character, Ben Wong as Wyatt Callow, and Maya Hawke as Wyrus. Also, Kelvin Harrison Jr. as Beatty Latier, who I believe was played by Jeffrey Wright in Catching Fire. But with this casting announcement, a lot of them are younger actors. Some of them are names that are not like super, not necessarily relevant, but memorable or recognizable. I am really excited to see Ben Wong in more stuff, even after just seeing some stuff of his marketing for the new Karate Kid movie. I think he is going to be awesome in that movie, and he because of him, I'm more excited to go see that movie. But Jesse Plemons as Plutarch is fantastic. Sweet. Phenomenal casting. Yeah. And then Ralph Fiennes as President Snow. Ralph Fiennes in anything. Put him in every fucking movie, and I'm there. Yeah. So, Corey, is there any casting announcement within this for this film that you're really like stoked for?
I think it's just an awesome ensemble for a Hunger Games movie. So I've gotten into the movies the last couple of years. I haven't read the books before, but I really liked watching through all of them before Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I'm down for more. Like, there's more stories to tell. I feel like obviously a lot of people love the book, so I'm pumped to see that when it comes out. Big announcement here. Big announcement. HBO
Very
Max is back. No, it's big.
Yeah, they changed their logo again, and now it just has HBO on top
HBO Max is back. It was just HBO forever, just on TV. And then they were like, HBO Go and HBO Now, we're kind of doing that. And then it was HBO Max when they started streaming. And then they were like, okay, it's actually just Max. And then it was colored purple, and they're like, actually Max is going to be like black, like just black logo now. We're back to just HBO Max now. Fucking awesome.
Sweet.
That's so cool. I'd never stopped calling it HBO.
Yeah. But wild decision to be like, you know what, the thing that is most like recognizable and also just speaks to the legacy of like the quality of our shows that we put out, we'll do away with it. Just call us Max.
Like, the what? It's like the plus of like Disney Plus or like ESPN Plus or whatever. It's like if you just pick Plus.
HBO Plus, fine.
Like, what do you mean by that?
It's like, no, we're going to name it Peacock. Fuck you. Why? Like, there's just so many stupid names for streaming services, which I don't think that every streaming service in the world is going to be around for like the next 8 years. I think they'll probably lump up. But HBO Max is probably the one that I'm more consistently like logging into. Mm-hmm. And them just, I remember when they switched to Max, it was Max, the one to go for HBO, or the one you watch for HBO. And I remember, I think it was Zaslav came out and he was like, we made our rendezvous with Destiny. Basically with them settling on this name. And I'm like, rendezvous with Destiny.
He's a
for just
idiot.
Cutting HBO out of the title and just like, we're just going to stick with Max. We're Max. It's like, okay, settle down. But cool. I'm happy that you guys are still indecisive and we're like, actually, we shouldn't have done away with the one thing that speaks to our credibility within the industry. So happy that you brought that back. Streaming services are just
crazy,
consistently stupid to me. In terms of streaming, we did get an announcement for the second season of Daredevil Born Again, which will be coming out, I believe, in early 2026. We will have Kristen Ritter returning as her role of Jessica Jones within this now MCU version of this franchise. I'm really excited to see Jessica Jones back because I think there's 3 seasons of the Netflix show, which confuses me because I thought there was only 2 for the longest time, and I don't think I watched the second one. But the first season of Jessica Jones, I think, rivals anything Netflix Daredevil. Like, I think the first season of Jessica Jones is phenomenal. Corey, how do you feel about Kristen Ritter coming back?
Dude, I have seen all 3 seasons. I love the first one like you do, and I think the other 2 are super solid and 2 of the better of that kind of like Netflix era seasons of TV. I like it more than like Luke Cage and Iron Fist and some of those other ones. So Kristen Ritter is great as this character. I think it would have been a mistake to recast. I think she just fits it well, and she's still like within that same age where you're like, you can still come into this role and play it really well. So Yeah, I thought she might show up at the end of the first season when he's assembling his team.
He's like, we need to get a team together, and it's just a room
cops.
of cops, and it's like, are you guys
I know, like,
really,
2 of you.
really going to help?
There's
Like,
Karen and like one cop that we've seen. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
But I'm down for her to come back, and honestly, if like Mike Coulter wants to come back as Luke Cage, and
hell yeah, yeah.
bring back the Netflix people, because I think they did a really good job.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. Like you, I also was like, oh, we're gonna get like the Defenders teased at the very end of Daredevil Born Again. Nope, it's just cops.
Not at all.
Which is fine. I love I love Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones. She's phenomenal in terms of everything that she does. In other news, there was also an announcement, which I don't typically hype up Adam Aaron, who is the CEO of AMC Theaters, but this is one of the decisions that I feel like that's come out of their part of this industry or within AMC Theaters of pushing to have 50% off for movie tickets on Wednesdays, which will begin on Wednesday, July 9th. AMC is going to be looking to slash, like I said, the prices of movie tickets by 50% for moviegoers, which I'm pretty sure, like, if you look at each day of the week, Wednesday is usually the lowest recording in terms of box office and people going out to the movies. But CEO Adam Aaron, I believe, in one of the Q1 earnings calls came out and talked about, hey, actually, we're going to cut some ticket prices just to kind of boost viewership, hopefully, which I think is a great idea. We've ran in, like, there's already kind of discount Tuesdays, I think, throughout the U.S. of like, oh, $5 Tuesday and stuff like that, and that's kind of carried through a bunch of different theater chains, not just AMC, but anything to get more people going to the movies. So this is one of the few times where I'm going to be like, hey, Adam Aaron, you're actually making a really smart call, and this is a great call for, I think, not only the industry, but also hopefully with whatever the 100% on tariffs is. Like, you know what? Theaters need to make money if they're going to stick around, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I don't really go to AMC's, and I'm not a Stubbs member because I fucking hate the ads there, and I just hate AMC. So
I am locked in because I bought the subscription of whatever the highest level, so you can go see 3 or 4 movies a week. And I'm like, I'm that, but I'm so locked into that Nicole Kidman ad and all of the stupid 28 minutes of AMC or trailers before the movie. I'm like, what the and then the Coke ad, and I'm like, oh my god, this movie was supposed to start a half an hour ago, and it's a 3-hour-long movie. I want to fucking go home already. So
bullshit.
Yeah.
But if you go to AMC, then that's good good news for you guys.
Yeah.
Last bit of movie news here. We kind of mentioned the Superman trailer before. The DCU is starting up. And they kind of announced that they're going to have 4 main pillars of this universe. As of right now, they always have plans for things, and then things change. But we'll see. As of right now, they want to focus on Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, Supergirl. Sure. Yeah, I mean, Batman, Superman, that makes sense. Wonder Woman, we don't have anybody else cast for Wonder Woman or Batman yet. But we have David Cornsweet and Millie Alcock, who I really like from House of the Dragon. Mm-hmm. So this seems like this is the core. That makes sense. I'm down. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, we have the Holy Trinity, and I was more just like kind of surprised by the inclusion of Supergirl, but that also being the only other like in production, almost wrapped production DCU movie that we have coming up is Supergirl's Woman of Tomorrow. So it's like, oh, okay, I didn't know that you guys were really going to be leaning on that character as much, but I welcome it. I'm stoked for Millie Alcock. I don't have as much exposure to her work as you do because I never watched House of the Dragon, but I've heard that she's phenomenal, and honestly, I'm kind of just sold on this DCU until I've been proven otherwise. The Creature Commandos was great, and Superman looks exceptional, so I'm excited. But regardless, with all that under the table and all taken care of, thank you for sitting and having some liquor drinks with us for another episode of Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Whether you're listening to us or if we were able to be successful enough to get this uploaded to YouTube and you're watching us, sorry that you didn't watch our 2 ugly mugs today. And if it worked today, it will maybe work next week and we'll continue it on. But be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more in-depth movie reviews and news. And subscribe to our podcast. Leave us a review as long as it's constructive and or nice, or you're calling out that, yes, Corey looks like Nicolas Cage, then I will agree with it. In the world of film, it's not just about what happens on screen, but also about who's sitting next to you in the theater.
For Mason and I at Slate Night, that's a wrap.